Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you a montage of clips of Joe Biden on the world stage the last weekend. Take a look.
A brighter future rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. When you're there, sometime you've been there, you're going to see women, young people stand in the middle of the front of a damn tank. In fact, the sanctions would deter him. Sanctions never deter. You keep talking about that. Sanctions never deter.
Well, can someone please? Sanctions are intended to deter.
The purpose of the sanctions has always been and continues to be deterrence.
The purpose of the sanctions, in the first instance, is to try to deter.
In principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Mr. President, do you want Putin removed? Mr. President, were you calling for regime change?
And to clarify on chemical weapons, if chemical weapons were used in Ukraine, would that trigger a military response from NATO?
It would trigger a response in kind. Citizen, look at how they're stepping up. Look at how they're stepping up. And you're going to see when you're there, sometime you've been there, you're going to see women, young people stand in the middle of the front of a damn tank.
Believe what you said, that Putin can't remain in power? Or do you now regret saying that because your government has been trying to walk that back? Did your words complicate matters?
Well, you asked 3 different questions. I'll answer them all. Number 1, I'm not walking anything back. The fact of the matter is I was expressing the moral outrage I felt toward the way Putin is dealing and the actions of this man. Just brutality of it.
That other leaders in the world are going to start to doubt that America is back if some of these big things that you say on the world stage keep getting walked back.
What's getting walked back?
It made it sound like, just in the last couple days, it sounded like you told U.S. troops they were going to Ukraine. It sounded like you said it was possible the U.S. would use a chemical weapon, and it sounded like you were calling for regime change in Russia, and we know
none of the 3 occurred.
None of the 3 occurred?
None of the 3.
Mr. President?
You interpret the language that way. I was talking to the troops. We're talking about helping train the troops that are the Ukrainian troops that are in Poland. That's the context. I sat there with those guys for a couple hours. That's what we talked about.
So when you said you're going to see when you're there, you were not intending to...
I was referring to meeting with and talking with the Ukrainian troops who are in Poland.
And when you said a chemical weapon used by Russia would trigger a response in kind.
It will trigger a significant response.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to tell you. Why would I tell you? You got to be silly.
The world wants to know.
The world wants to know a lot of things. I'm not telling them what the response would be. Then Russia knows the response. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. For free people refuse to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
What we have here now is a montage of commentary from world leaders and the White House walking back the statements that the president virtually made. Please keep this man in the basement. Do not let this man out on the world stage. I don't have much hope in the Republicans. The only thing I can hope is that they impeach right away. In the meantime, please do not let this man out of the White House. We are facing World War III, and what the president says makes a difference. It's not up to Don Lemon to lie and walk it back.